Hello, everybody. Welcome. Another review today, and we're reviewing a malt liquor, and that is Country Club. I got this when I was home up in New Jersey. I stopped and picked this up, and I said I'm going to try to review it when I come back home. 5.9%. It says 5.86, but rounded off. 5.9 ABV. One of the original extra strong lagers that came out back in the 1950s. If you may remember know the story, a lot of these beers you couldn't sell beer at a certain level or a certain ABV style for whatever the reason. So they had these crazy alcohol laws. So you had beers like this, as well as Schlitz came out. This beer is with a lemon wedge, and I'm not going to put a lemon wedge on my beer, but this beer is I mentioned is an extra strong lager. Um, they're currently owned by the Pabst Brewing Company, based out of Milwaukee. Now they'll be returning to Milwaukee, their brewery facility. Just news that was made back a couple of months ago. Um, Again, 5.9%. The Bros don't score it, but BA gives it a poor score, 65. Has in the freezer. Your typical malt liquor look, smell to it, as you can see by the color of the beer. Very strong lager. Excuse me. Sorry, picking my nose. Um, got a couple of things going on the TV at the same time. Pretty full. You know, um, as I said, these beers were, the white guy were sitting at the country club, wanting to, talk after a game of golf or a racquetball or tennis, and wanted something to quench their thirst after, out there in the field, sweating away, playing these grueling, excessive games, competition with their fellow friends. So decided that's why this beer came out. As I said, according to the beer in the bottom, America's premium malt liquor. I don't get this here in Alabama. Um, I know a few places in the Southeast doesn't get it, but it's very popular up in the Northeast. So I got it, and I was home in Jersey, and I was able to pick up a can of this on my way back down, as well as a couple other cans, which I'm going to sample, try out before this weekend is over. So, or before the year is over. Very good taste. Very good, refreshing lager. Very easily well done. Yeah, getting back to with Country Club, and then Schlitz came out with their OML original malt liquor. That was at same ABV, 5.9%. Most of the beers back then were between 4 and 5, or 2 and 5. Um, we wanted something a little more kick to it, so an ale. They come up with different names instead of extra strong beer. They come up with these names, and a lot of these names also show a sense of control and power. Country Club, meaning only the well-to-do can go to the well-to-do, only the mighty and powerful, and why the name Country Club appears. Schlitz Bull, power, Hurricane, steel. So using they have to use these sort of um, implied names, showing strength and control, dominance. Um, by then, most of these beers were geared towards white folks at the time. Middle age, well-to-do, middle class, the in between, not wealthy, not poor, but they're doing okay. But by then, a lot of these companies wanted to change their ads and try to reach another demographic, so they decided to hit minorities and growing minority community, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans. Soon they began to buy this beer, and also many began to some even began to dismiss the beer. Some some liked the beer. Excuse me, I should say. And then you had other companies coming out, a little more um, like King Cobra, old English. As we go into the 70s and 90s, into the 80s and 90s, King, as I mentioned, King Cobra, Schlitz, um, um, I mean King Cobra and excuse me, Old English um, at the time. Mickey's, which at that time many didn't consider malt liquor more of a strong lager, but now it's used as malt liquor. Those reaching their demographics. Colt 45, of course, that was probably the most well known. Still now, still well known of malt liquor. 6% ABV on that one. Demographics changed. They realized they wanted to reach buying as the 70s, 80s grew. It became to put out more of those beers out. And unfortunately, even though white folks were still drinking them, unfortunately, they began to have a very negative viewpoint as we get into the late 80s and the 90s. Rappers and more actors, rappers more so began to advertise the beer, and when rap music was which was already was started in the 70s, and popularity grew in the 80s, and as we continue into the 90s, a lot of the rappers began to rap about drinking these style of beers, and also the beers were very cheap and expensive. Um, some going for 25, some going for like $1.50, $1.75. The highest you pay maybe is $2. This can I paid about 16-ounce can. I paid about $1.29 for it up in New Jersey. Now I don't know where would it be here if it was sold in Alabama or anywhere in the southeast. It'd probably be less than that, maybe $1.09, $1.10, for a 16-ounce can. But oh well. You smell a lot of the corn, the typical malt liquor smell to it. Corn, a lot of the syrupy flavor to it, some sugar. But this is not overpowering compared to, say, Hurricane or Steel. Both we get here in the state in Alabama get like at both versions 8%. We don't get the 6% version here, and I know one place, a couple places in the state, there's like a 3.2% version of both beers, which is 3.2%. That's like, please don't bother. I don't want to drink that. But anyway, uh, this is about as easygoing as any malt liquor I've had, and again, if I would if it was here, I would buy it, but unfortunately here in my state, and I don't want to travel to Mississippi every day, but I may have to soon. But King Cobra, another one, which is 6%. Colt 45 mentioned 6%. We get Colt 45 here, but we don't get King Cobra or Old English. Um, for 5.9%, this is not bad. Actually, this is quite good, very good. This is a very good beer. And what else is there to say? I mean, this is a very good, excellent. Um, as we get now into the 2000s, people are beginning to really accept and embrace these beers a lot. I know I am, and I like the price of it too. Yeah, um, you can't go wrong with this at all. Um, Still more lacing on the beer here. So, for a style, I'm giving this thing a solid nine. Mary Malt Liquor style. This is a nine for me for Country Club. Again, not rough as Steel or Old or Hurricane, but decent enough. You can pound one more and you can call it a day. But again, if you can get in your area, good for you. If you can't, then and if you know any family members who are live in an area where they can get, country club, tell them to send them down to you. I remember the first time I had this when I was in high school. This was my sophomore year in high school. Um, Long story how I was able to get this beer, but somehow we were able to get it, and someone got it for us, and it was inexpensive. It was like at the time, throwing inflation, it was about a dollar, a dollar ten. I say now it's $1.29, but it was like $1.10 for that for a 16-ounce can. Yeah, and this was the size can back then of that beer. So um, I like it. So give me your comments, your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Country Club Malt Liquor. So I gave it a 10. So keep watching. This is Jean Henderson Pierre, Jean Pierre, the TV and Beer Ramble, saying keep watching and cheers.